Now here's the key. If there's a right time, that means any other time is the wrong time. It takes faith and patience to see the promises. We live in a microwave society. I like everything fast. God, do it now. The longer I live, the more I've learned to trust God's timing. God knows what He's doing. He can see the big picture. If it hasn't happened yet, it hasn't been the right time. You have to trust Him. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. God has not forgotten about you. Your right time is already scheduled. If it would have happened sooner, it wouldn't have been a blessing. In the waiting process, God's doing a work in us, getting us stronger, developing our character, preparing us to carry the weight of glory. If the situation is not changing, maybe God is using the situation to change you. If it's not working out yet, maybe He's working out something in you. The test is, will you trust Him while you're waiting for the right time? Will you keep a good attitude? Will you stay in faith when you don't see anything happening? This is when it's easy to get discouraged, live stressed. God, when are you going to do something? When am I going to meet the right person? When is my business going to grow? When are these people at work going to start treating me better? Why don't you relax and come back to a place of peace? God sees what you're going through. He knows what you need. He knows your dreams, your goals. He's the one that put them in you. What He has purpose for your life will come to pass. One scripture says, it won't be 1 second late. Thoughts will tell you, no, you're falling behind. You're missing out. Everyone's getting ahead of you. No, you're right on schedule. God is ordering your steps. You keep honoring Him, doing the right thing. You're going to come into these right time moments where He's going to thrust you ahead. It was a long time waiting, but when you see what God does, you'll say, it was worth the wait. What God is going to do is going to be bigger, better, more rewarding than what you had in mind. When Abraham was 80 years old, his wife Sarah was 70, God gave them a promise that they would have a baby. In the natural, this was impossible. No one had ever had a baby at that age. Sarah had been barren her whole life, never had any children. When they first heard this promise, it was so far out they laughed. They thought, God, that's a good one. You must have the wrong couple. There's no way we can have a child. If God would have given them this promise when they were in their 20s, 30s, when it was a normal time to have children, they would have believed. But sometimes God will wait on purpose to when the odds are against us. Seems like it's too late. We're too old, or we don't have the training, the medical report's not good, we don't come from an influential family. We have plenty of excuses to not believe. But when God gives the promise, He sets the time to bring it to pass. He doesn't give you the dream and then say, well, I'm going to think about it a few months. Let me ponder that for a while. The moment He gives it to you, He puts the promise on the schedule. He marks the right time. Like Abraham and Sarah, what God has spoken to you may seem impossible, like it could never happen. Don't get talked out of your dream. Don't let doubt, what you don't see happening, how unlikely it is, keep you from believing for what God promised. When thoughts tell you there's no way, it's been too long, just say, no thanks, I know my right times are coming. Father, thank you that what you promised is already on the schedule, that I don't have to figure it out, but you're going to make it happen, and it's not going to be 1 second late. We're all going to wait, but learn to wait the right way. Wait in faith. Wait with expectancy. Wait with praise, thanking God in advance that it's on the way. See, Abraham and Sarah, at first, they didn't believe they could have a baby. They were filled with doubt. How can this happen? God said in Genesis 18, is there anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time, I will return and give Sarah a son. God said, in effect, you may be doubting. You don't see how, but I have already set the right time. At the appointed time, she will give birth. Notice God set the time when He gave the promise. Whatever God has promised you, He's already set the right time. It's already in your future. The question is, what do we do when it's taking longer than we thought? God's timing is not our timing. On the way to your promise being fulfilled, there will be opportunities to get discouraged, give up on what you're believing for. If it's going to happen, it would have happened by now. Just accept it. That's when you have to dig down deep and say, God, I trust you. I know you wouldn't have promised me this if you didn't have a right time on my schedule. Don't live with a it's never going to happen mentality. Live with a right time mentality. If you knew one of your right times was October 16th at 2:30 in the afternoon, you were going to meet the person of your dreams. The medical report was going to say cancer-free. An opportunity to expand your business was going to come to you. If you knew that right time was coming, you would relax. You wouldn't live worried. You wouldn't waste time trying to figure it out, not able to sleep at night. God doesn't tell us when, but He does promise when the time is right, He's going to make it happen. A year went by and Abraham and Sarah didn't see a baby. 2 years, no child. 3 years, she was still barren. They made some mistakes. They tried to help God out. Sarah told Abraham to sleep with her maid. That way they could have a child. Abraham said, let me pray about it. And he prayed for 4 seconds and said, okay, I'm good with that. He slept with the maid. They had a son, but it wasn't the promised child.